The Nightbeat starts right now.
A movement across faiths, many coming together in San Antonio to reflect on the lives lost in the back of that semi-truck trailer just days ago. 53 people killed after they were trapped in an 18-wheeler in rising temperatures.
Yeah, the man accused of driving that tractor trailer made his first court appearance in San Antonio federal court. The Associated Press reports 45-year-old Homero Zamorano Jr. spent about 5 minutes in court.
Next week, he will learn if he is eligible for bail. According to court documents, Zamorano spoke on a cell phone with 28-year-old Christian Martinez about the alleged smuggling event. 2 other suspects also arrested, but only face federal weapons charges. The Associated Press reports 73 people were in the 18-wheeler when it was found on Monday. This was near Quintana Road and Casson Drive on the city's southwest side. 53 people died. 11 others remain hospitalized tonight, and there's speculation the others must have left the scene. The Texas Tribune reporting the truck was passed off as a hauler from a legitimate company because the federal ID number copied and placed on the door, likely making it easier for them to slip through border inspections. U.S. officials say the 18-wheeler involved in Monday's migrant tragedy went through that checkpoint about 26 miles northeast of Laredo. And though it's not clear if the driver was questioned, Governor Greg Abbott ordered DPS to operate its own checkpoints further inland. DPS said they would place efforts to focus on cloned IDs, but how all that would work remains unclear. DPS said it would partly depend on staffing. Back in April, the governor ordered DPS to inspect tractor trailers coming in from Mexico. It led to gridlock on the border, and those inspections focused on things like headlamps and engines. Those DPS inspections did not turn up any migrants or illegal drugs. Troopers were actually not allowed to look in the cargo holds of those trucks.
And tonight, a memorial was held for the victims who died Monday. Tonight's ceremony included people from different backgrounds and faiths. The night team's Camelia Juarez was at San Fernando Cathedral at that special mass.
They're beloved by God and that they deserve to be mourned, even though we may not ever know their names.
This group of strangers from different faiths and different nationalities united in remembering people who sought a better life.
Las aves no necesitan un pasaporte para migrar.
The birds do not need passports to migrate. This is the land that belongs to God. Us as human beings are trying to pass. Jose Prince says he can relate to the victims and survivors of Monday's tragedy. Prince says he nearly drowned trying to cross into Texas.
It breaks my heart to see what our brothers and sisters have gone through.
The loss of 53 people brought tears to Robert Rodriguez's eyes. Rodriguez and Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sied both called on local leaders to take action.
We include our leaders of our states and country to work for a comprehensive immigration reform. That in over 40 years, nothing substantial has been done. It is urgent, and we pray that in God's mercy something will happen.
Now, there was only standing room inside the church today, and the Mass was all about remembering the people involved in Monday's tragedy. And those here tonight say that their story is important to remember. Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Camelia. Another loss of life just north of the border. DPS investigating a deadly crash that they believe was part of a human smuggling operation. It happened north of Laredo in Ensenal this morning. Investigators say a Jeep refused to pull over in Laredo, drove about 40 miles before crashing into the back of a parked semi-trailer. 4 people were killed. Among the victims, 2 men from Guatemala and 1 from Mexico. The 4th man has not been identified. 3 others were injured, including the driver, who is in critical condition tonight. The White House, meanwhile, emphasizing it's launched its own anti-smuggling campaign. They say the U.S. and its partners made more than 2,400 arrests related to human smuggling in 3 months. The Supreme Court also ruling on a controversial border policy put in place by former President Donald Trump. Now, the Remain in Mexico policy forced many asylum seekers to return to Mexico to await court hearings even after giving themselves up to border authorities. A high court ruling allows the White House to end that policy. And new tonight, 2 teenagers killed in 2 days. Just yesterday, we told you about a 17-year-old killed just north of downtown in a shooting. It happened on Rex Street near Main Avenue.
And tonight, we've also learned the night before, a 15-year-old was killed in another shooting. This one on the city's west side Tuesday. The night team's John Paul Barajas reports the suspect has not been caught and the teen's parents wants justice.
I love him and I miss him. And then I'll never forget about him.
Who and why? That's what the parents of 15-year-old Manuel Ramos want to know. San Antonio police say Ramos was shot and left for dead Tuesday night, about a block from his home on Gus Garcia Road.
At 15 years old, had his whole life ahead of him, and now we're planning his funeral. We'll never get to see him graduate, become a man. These streets ain't no joke.
The night after the shooting, the street was filled with friends and family paying their respects. Ramos' father says the turnout and growing memorial is a testament to how much his son was loved, adding he was constantly joking, dancing, and making others laugh. Now the shootings in his neighborhood that he says have gotten out of hand have taken his son's life.
It's about every other day. So it ain't nothing new, but you never expect it to be your son. It's the luck of the draw, I guess.
At last check, SAPD has no updates on Tuesday's shooting and no arrests have been made. Ramos' parents are urging anyone with information to come forward. You can also do that anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP. At Public Safety Headquarters, John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Let's hope and give that family some closure. Thank you, John Paul. The shooting is just a block away, by the way, from the historic Alizon Apache courts. People living in the public housing complex have voiced some concerns.
You know, we have gunshots all times of the day and night. We have drug dealers coming in and out of here, you know, and you know what they're doing. You can clearly tell there's just nobody stopping them.
A part of the complex undergoing a redevelopment plan. Some neighbors are hopeful the changes could deter crime in the area, though it's still unclear what those changes would be exactly. The meeting is set for August to discuss potential design options.
There are more legal battles playing out after the Supreme Court's ruling on abortion. Every state is now deciding how they will handle the procedure. Florida's governor signed a temporarily blocked the ban. The judge says the Florida's state constitution has a privacy provision that guarantees a right to abortion. And here in San Antonio, a temporary injunction is allowing a clinic in the city to continue abortions for now. That's as long as the women in the abortion is being performed on is less than 6 weeks pregnant. Alamo Women's Reproductive Services is one of these several clinics that sued the state. They joined a lawsuit after Attorney General Ken Paxton advised prosecutors they could hold clinics liable for all abortions, even though the trigger law had not taken effect yet. He wants to use a law that predates Roe versus Wade. While this clinic is seeing an increase in calls for the procedure, there are other Texas laws that limit abortion.
The 24-hour waiting period, for example, so the day you come in for a sonogram is not the day that you can have the abortion, and anything can change from one day to the next. We try to tell patients on the phone, you know, while we have this opportunity to provide again right now, we know it will not be long term.
And the clinic could suddenly close again since Paxton is now asking a judge to get rid of a temporary restraining order to stop all abortions.
Now to the latest out of Uvalde. School District Police Chief and Councilman Pete Arredondo did not show up to today's meeting. If he misses the next meeting, he could be voted out. His response as the police chief for the district has drawn a lot of scrutiny. Meanwhile, the council members that did show up face questions from the victims' family members. A lot of them, and just normal citizens, frustrated with the lack of information since this investigation began more than a month ago now. The city council and Mayor Don McLaughlin insist they can't release information because it would interfere with the investigation. Amory Jo Garza, one of the 21 people killed that day, her father expressed his emotions as he faced the mayor and the rest of the city council.
What if it was your kid? You what? You can't say nothing.
I can't.
Nobody
You're right.
can.
You're right. I
We
can't.
understand that. So do your part for us.
The building where the shooting took place is still part of the investigation as well. The district plans to demolish Robb Elementary eventually, but it's still waiting on a demolition permit. Uvalde CISD confirmed the new school would be in a different location. They say they are still looking for a new location while it raises money for the building. You still ahead on the Nightbeat tonight. A Texas woman accused of murder now in custody, where investigators found her more than a month after the crime and how they were finally able to track her down.
And right now, buying a car can set you back some serious cash, but there are ways to save, what you can do to get on the road and protect your wallet.
But first, a San Antonio man is dead. His wife is in the hospital. Who found the grisly scene inside their home and what police say happened before that gun went off? It's next on the Nightbeat. It's that time. Let's take a look at your headlines in your Nightbeat news flash. An argument ending with a husband dead, a wife hurt. San Antonio police say the couple's son was in the home when it happened. Police showed up to a home on Burnett and North Grimes this morning. Officers say the husband pulled out a gun during an argument with his wife, and during the struggle, investigators say the woman was shot in the head. She did survive. The couple's son later found the man dead. Police say the man turned the gun on himself. A fake passport, a potential love triangle, and murder. Today, investigators say this case led them from Austin all the way to Costa Rica for their suspect. Caitlin Marie Armstrong, accused of shooting and killing professional cyclist Anna Wilson in Austin. Investigators say the victim dated Armstrong's ex-boyfriend. Authorities say surveillance cameras placed Armstrong's SUV at the murder scene last month. They say she took several flights, used a fake passport to get into Costa Rica. After 43 days on the run, U.S. Marshals plan to bring her back to the U.S. to face charges. There's a new Supreme Court justice on the High Court, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the nation's first black female justice. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer retired officially this afternoon. Jackson, his former clerk, she now joins three women, Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Alina Kagan, and Amy Coney Barrett, the first time that four women will serve together on the 9-member court. And that's a look at your Nightbeat news flash.
All right, now let's talk about your money. With prices rising, that budget may be shrinking, but even if you're on the market for a new car, there are some ways to still save some money. ABC's Alexis Christoforous reports the key is flexibility.
Like everything else these days, car prices are skyrocketing. The average price for a new car last month was just over $47,000, the second highest ever. That's up more than 13% from a year ago.
Now is not a good time to buy a new car.
But what if you need to buy a new car? Experts have some tips to help you try to find a good deal. First, figure out exactly what you want and then have some alternatives. Certain brands may cost you less than other brands for the same type of car.
You can figure out some cars that are similar to what you were looking for originally that maybe are less sought after and have greater availability.
Because demand for new cars is high, buyers have been paying well above the sticker price lately. But choosing a different type of vehicle might save you money.
If you go buy a full-size pickup or you go buy a large SUV, those are popular, so you're going to pay for that. If you want a deal, then look for the types of vehicles that people aren't buying as much, and that's things like sedans and hatchbacks.
Make sure you have financing in place when you're shopping by getting pre-approved for a loan. Definitely check out car buying apps and local dealership websites to see what's available. And consider widening your search to areas farther away from your home to find more available cars. And if you find a car you like, don't hesitate.
Because in this market, it's very much a seller's market, and whatever's available is going quickly. So when you buy your car, you have to be ready to go.
Alexis Christoforous, ABC News, New York.
All right, let's take a look outside. 87 degrees. And did you happen to see meteorologist Katie Blake's weather article on KSAT.com? We are breaking records this month.
That's why I thought when they were saying options for your new car, air conditioning, air conditioning, air conditioning.
You need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so June is in the books now. We know it was the hottest June on record in San Antonio going back to 1885. It was also the June with the most 100-degree days on record. And each day in June, except for one day, our high temperatures were above average every single day. This comes after the hottest May on record. So heat has been the story, and it's going to stay hot through the 4th of July weekend. But our temperatures, we've got a couple triple digits here on the board for you, but each day is not a triple digit day. So that's a little bit of a change for us here. We're looking at mid to upper 90s next 2 days, and then as we get into the holiday weekend, 99 and 100 Monday and into Tuesday. Currently still nice and warm out there, 87 at the airport, 85 in New Braunfels, still in the low 90s from Cotulla up to Del Rio right now. Most spots, especially along I-35, have a pretty good breeze going out of the southeast at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. So we had a couple tiny showers pop up, mainly across parts of Edwards and Kinney counties this afternoon and evening, but otherwise it's been a quiet day. What we've been talking about the past few days, aside from our rain chances locally, is some tropical moisture out in the Gulf of Mexico. And when you look here tonight, really doesn't look like there's much to see, and that's because there's really not. There's some shower activity that stretches along the Gulf Coast, roughly from about Matagorda up closer to the Texas-Louisiana state line here. And the National Hurricane Center is going to continue to monitor this moisture out in the Gulf of Mexico to see if maybe it can quickly try to organize itself tomorrow or early Saturday into maybe at least a tropical depression. Either way, we're talking about the heaviest rain because of this disturbance being in the Houston area and then points east, even into Louisiana now. So it looks like some of the highest rainfall numbers through tomorrow, through Saturday, are going to fall over parts of Louisiana, actually close to the state line. So as far as any impacts to the 4th of July weekend, if you're going to be heading out of town tomorrow, Saturday, you're likely to encounter some heavy rain if you'll be traveling on I-10 between Houston and New Orleans. Down a little bit closer to places like Matagorda, we're looking at 1 to 3 inches of rain over the next few days. But for our area, really not much at all. We have chances the next 2 days of some afternoon spotty showers that would add up to around or less than a 1/4 inch of rain. So all that moisture out in the Gulf of Mexico really doesn't do anything for us in terms of rainfall, unfortunately. Through tomorrow morning, a few clouds, mid to upper 70s as you step out the door. Light easterly winds 2 to 5 miles per hour. First part of the day tomorrow, late morning through lunchtime, mostly sunny skies, and then some of those puffy white clouds will pop up tomorrow afternoon, and we'll carry another 20% chance of a late afternoon, early evening pop-up shower. Otherwise, it's just going to be a hot one with high temperatures, upper 90s near 100. A look ahead to your 4th of July. Fireworks forecast Monday evening. Looks like it's going to be warm, mostly clear, but breezy. So that breeze will really come in handy there for our local approved fireworks shows, guys.
Why does the sun always have to set so close to 9? It's so late.
Right at, yeah. Too late for you, is what you're saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That's even sets at 9, right?
Yeah. I guess we can call him Digante now.
Yes, you can.
We're getting some new details. Did he force his way out?
Well, and that's one report tonight where he left the Spurs no choice but to trade him, if you believe that report. When we come back, we'll let you know the newest details on the Digante trade. And Lonnie is now a Laker. Coming up. We are getting new information that gives fans some more clarity on why the Spurs would part with their best player and not build around All-Star DeJounte Murray for the future. That's because the star point guard and his agent Rich Paul let it be known that he was not going to extend his contract with the Spurs. That's according to Brian Windhorst of ESPN. If you believe his report, that's why the team had to make this trade now. Murray is going to be up for a max deal in 2 years. It would pay him in the neighborhood of $40 million a year. But he and his agent had no intention of re-signing with the Spurs. They did the only thing they could do, get the most for him right now. Now, there are new details to that trade as well. That includes another Spurs player on his way to Atlanta, and a first-round pick in 2023 is protected. Here are the new details. That first pick protected in 2023. That's disappointing. 25 and 26 with a swap. 27 also unprotected there. And then the Hawks will be getting Jacques Landale as well. Well, there is no question Spurs general manager Brian Wright needed Spurs head coach Greg Popovich's approval to make this blockbuster deal, the biggest trade in Spurs history since the Iceman was dealt to the Chicago Chicago Bulls back in 1985. During a press conference call this afternoon after the Spurs confirmed the trade, right at this, it was not an easy decision to make.
Draft picks don't have feelings, and players do. People do, we do, and I think it's the emotions of, you know, losing somebody you've been with for so long, and that's kind of what sticks with you most. But in terms of the picks and how we go forward and how they help us build, yeah, we're excited about that part of the future, but a lot of it is emotions of, you know, being with somebody for so long and watching them grow and having to part ways. That's just a really difficult part of it. Another new development today with the Spurs. Lonnie Walker IV has played his last game as a Spur. This after the Spurs rescinded their qualifying offer of just over $6 million they exercised yesterday, just before the deadline. As a result, Walker is free to sign with any team, going from an restricted free agent now to an unrestricted free agent. I think the way the draft played out kind of changed the trajectory of our roster and made the opportunities a little bit different than maybe they would have been had the draft gone a different way. And so we did decide to pull the qualifying offer, but again, he's going to be a player that continues to grow, and we're excited to follow his development wherever that lands. All right, this is also a tough loss for Spurs fans after Lonnie endeared himself by getting involved in the community on his own, but he has landed on his feet. He has signed a one-year, $6.5 million deal with the Lakers. Now, we know the Spurs fans are upset, but what about the young guns who now have to take over? Where the longest tenured player on the team right now is Jakob Poeltl, is about to start his 5th season in silver and black after coming to San Antonio in the trade for Kawhi Leonard with Toronto in 2018. So we visited the Spurs Summer League minicamp today to find out.
Obviously, things that happened yesterday and things that could happen in the future out of, you know, our control. That's for the front office to take care of. But we just control what we can control and focus on getting better each and every day, and just try to take advantage of those opportunities when they're there.
All right, and look who's back in town for his second stint with the Spurs. Brett Brown was named an assistant coach to Greg Popovich again. Brett used to be the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers in 2013 through 2020, posting 3 straight 50-win seasons, 3 straight playoff appearances. Now he will help Pop with the team's rebuilding effort. Brown was an assistant for the Spurs for 11 seasons off and on, and was even part of the staff during 4 of the 5 NBA championships in 99, 2003, 05, and 07. Now he's returned to the Alamo City. Stop me if you've heard this before. Kevin Durant is demanding to trade so he can hook up with a contender for an NBA championship, and the Brooklyn Nets are granting his wishes. And that's even after Durant signed a 4-year contract extension that starts this week, according to ESPN, which runs through 2026 and still has $200 million left in its deal. And his wish list includes the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat. That's after the Nets started this past season as a favorite to win the NBA title, with Durant teaming with Kyrie Irving and James Harden, but wound up being swept out of the first round of the playoffs by Boston. Durant won 2 NBA titles in the Golden State Warriors before jumping ship in free agency to sign with the Nets to try and form another super team after, failing to three-peat in Oakland. Deshaun Watson's disciplinary hearing is over. What's next?
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
As the Deshaun Watson hearing resumed for the final day in front of disciplinary officer Sue L. Robinson, a new possibility has risen as part of his punishment. The NFL is still insisting that Watson be issued an indefinite suspension and miss at least 1 year without pay for violating the league's personal conduct code during multiple massages. But if he's only missing the 2022 season without pay, he's only giving up $1 million of a $230 million guaranteed contract. To penalizing more, according to NBC, he could be asked to give up the $10 million he made last year and a portion of his signing bonus this year. Robinson is expecting final briefs by July the 11th. We should expect a ruling possibly by that time. There's no set deadline, except teams would like to know before they start training camps, obviously.
Any word if the Spurs are on Kevin Durant's list?
I would doubt that very much.
I mean, he could play one game in Austin like he used to, back in his college days.
Back in the Longhorn days, yes. I don't think so.
Okay.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, maybe not wishful.
Yeah, good point.
We'll be right back.
All right, cross your fingers the next 2 afternoons for one of those little pop-up showers. Most of us will miss out as we head into Sunday and the 4th of July, just hot and sunny. It does look like for fireworks time Monday, it'll be nice and breezy. Hot, but breezy.
Fingers are crossed. That does it for the Nightbeat.
Have a great night.